Hello, hello. Welcome back to Spotlight by the Intelligence. Today I have Joffrey of Picture Talk with me here today. How you doing,
Yeah,
man?
yeah, feeling good. Thanks. Hope you're good too.
It's good to see you. Bro's coming live from France. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
My name is Geoffrey, and I'm also known as Pichu Talk, lo-fi beatmaker from very south of France, and mainly a guitarist, former bassist too, bass player too. Um, I play in some rock and metalcore band, but I end up playing lo-fi since maybe 2020.
You've been making lo-fi for how long?
Started in 2020, like 5 years ago. I was doing mostly instrumental stuff. I'm the composer of all my band projects, so I was used to bring instrumental to all my comrades. So maybe we'll talk about it later, but I end up working mostly alone, and then lo-fi was the best thing to me. I love making hip hop and ambient things.
Love it. The lo-fi community has such a welcoming group of people in it. Obviously, that's been the majority of people who I talk to, and it's funny because we all kind of
Yeah,
live on the internet but occupy the same place. How did
yeah.
you fall in with the lo-fi community online?
Um, in fact, I stepped aside from the lo-fi community at the first time, but it wasn't a great thing. I just played lo-fi because I liked it, but then when I checked some labels and collabs, I end up talking with a lot of people in the lo-fi community, and a lot of people are listening to heavier music like me. It's very fun to see that not all artists are just doing lo-fi. They're doing much more stuff.
Okay, so other words, you had some friends who were already involved in the area who invited you to come participate in some music they were doing, and they sort of inducted you. If you would do me a favor, your mic is coming in just a little bit muddy, and I worry about how
Oh,
well people can hear you. If
yeah.
you that's much better. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sorry.
Perfect, perfect. No, I can hear you crystal clear now. Thank you. So if you could just while that mic was fuzzing out a little bit, could you give me a quick recap? You said you took a step back from lo-fi and re-entered it, or been on and off
No,
since.
no. At first, I was just doing my own thing. I just played lo-fi and tried to upload things on DistroKid, and then when I found out the only labels can get you some great exposure, I've reached other people and started doing collabs and stuff, and that's when the journey came become very fun.
Most definitely. You mentioned something which comes up very frequently here, which is working with labels. What
Mm.
has that been like for you? Are you allowed to talk about the labels you've worked with? What's
Yeah,
your experience been?
like I said before, I come from rock music, and like every small artist are totally indie. So I was doing my indie stuff too as lo-fi, but we have to agree that most labels and some great labels can give real exposures to upcoming artists like me. And I've worked like with like maybe 20, 30 labels in the lo-fi style. Not always very good, not always very communicative, and some pros and cons. But I guess we have to work with labels at some points. I guess. Yeah.
Most definitely. 20 to 30 labels is an extensive catalog. I bet you would be a good resource on who's a good fit and who might not be. I wanted to
Yeah.
get a little bit more about your background. You said you used to be in rock and indie music. Can we know about your band? What instrument did you play? How did you get into music in the first place?
In fact, I'm still playing AiirBear music as a band. My actual band is called The Ghost IC. It's very heavy metalcore stuff, and I play bass. I compose all the music, and I do backup scream vocals too.
Beauty. It's I find that like every lo-fi artist I talk to has a side project, or
Yeah,
lo-fi is their side project.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's it. Yeah,
it's cool to see such a diverse array of different music adjacent interests. You
yeah.
where do you guys typically play at? Are you at like clubs? Are you doing bars? What's the venue like for
Mm,
like an indie rock artist nowadays?
yeah. When I was playing indie rock, cover band and stuff, I used to play in pub, restaurants, and some house shows and stuff. But since now I only do very heavy and brutal music, uh, we all only play in real in real venue. So since I come from south of France, there's not much venue, so we don't do much live stuff.
Okay,
That,
interesting.
that was what guiding me through lo-fi since I can play I can play all day heavy music. I have to do more stuff,
So
and
there's
internet is key.
two directions I want to take this in, and feel free to pick and choose your own adventure
Mm,
here. So I wanted to ask a little bit more about the area of France that you're from, the music culture and what it's like there. But then when you mentioned there at the end how you play all the instruments and play all the time, I was curious to hear how that factored into your music making process. So two completely different ideas. Where do you
mm.
want to start?
From composing and playing instruments. I started as a bass player. My first instrument was a bass. And at the very beginning, I start composing shitty stuff, right? But start composing, but then I end up playing bass on the guitar, and then playing guitars, and then playing drums, and then playing a bit of piano. And one advice I could give to upcoming artists is to play the more instruments they can. In fact, it really helps to bring a beat, to bring melody, to bring a solid basis to the song. I can write violins, I can write piano because I can play guitar, so I think I can compose most instruments, and that helps me a lot.
Most definitely. In fact, I can't imagine how handicapped one might feel if they didn't play at least a single instrument before
Yeah,
deciding to pick up
and
production.
some artists don't even play any instrument. They're just like dropping chords and adding a splice beat, and then it's done. That's
Right?
quite
You're like,
sad.
bro, have you compared the different notes in the key that you're trying to make here? Like I've heard a couple beat submissions where it sounds like they pasted together different splice melodies that did
Mm,
not fit. I was like, learn an instrument, tell me if these match,
mm,
and then come back. Like,
mm. I'm all good using samples though, but yeah, some artists just drag and drop, and there's no control, there's not anything, and that's quite sad because the lo-fi is the worst for that. Lo-fi style is the worst for that. You
oh,
can you can just drop samples, and maybe you'll get bigger streams than I got. That's quite sad, but some artists are flipping samples very origin with a lot of originality, and that's great too. I use some samples too.
interesting that you mentioned that. So for the record, I am not a sample elitist, right? I do my own sound production, but I also use samples just fine. There's an artistry to it, right? It's like you can
Yeah,
sample if you can keep it in key and do it well. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But you're the first lo-fi artist I've talked to who said a lot of lo-fi is like that, just drag and drop. And I knew that that was prevalent in all genres, right? EDM especially, but like
Mm.
lo-fi, anything produced on a computer. How would you say, you know, I remember you saying that you think a drag and drop beat could potentially clock the same amount of streams that you do with your original work. Is that the
That's that.
frustrating state of things?
Yeah, it's not good to compare to others. We are in the same boat, but that's quite sad. Yes, like when in 2020 or 2021, when I was only playing 100% original production, and then a guy from India or England come to me and say, "Hey, check my lo-fi beat," and I knew it's fucking simple, and then boom, editorial playlist, and then you know.
Do you feel like it undermines the work you put in to see somebody like cook up a beat with samples in 5 minutes that took you days to compose?
At first, I found this annoying, but I guess the maybe the only the musicality can, I don't know how to say, but it's it's all
No,
good now. In
that's fair.
2020, I was quite sad, but now it's all good. I
Most
guess
definitely.
so.
You learn to adapt with it, I think.
Yeah,
Is like it also frustrated me in the beginning. I would hear people in my community, they'd make tracks that sound like they all came from the same sample pack. Like somebody took a single song, broke it up into sections, and they reassembled it like a
yeah,
kid doing a puzzle. And I'm like, good for you, bud. But at the
yeah,
same time, it's like my work productivity compared to theirs was like night and day. They could turn a song around in 5 minutes. It would take me weeks to get to that same spot
yeah,
with original sound design. So I feel like, by adapting, by learning to incorporate some of these hacks while staying true to our sound, we can like get past some of the hurdles in the amount of time it takes to make music.
yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit more about what you do to make a track?
Usually, uh, I write chords on the guitar or on the software called Guitar Pro. Very common in the rock pop music. It's software where you can write the chords and then export in MIDI files. So I usually work like that, even small melodies, and then I use Logic Pro, and, and then I record the more things I can. And when it's a collab song, I usually and the second artist, I usually don't bring the first stems. I'm more like playing the melodies and solos over stems. I've been sent
So you're typically the finisher in a collab then. They'll shoot you a starter
most
and you
times.
wrap
Yeah,
up.
most times. Yeah,
No, I also prefer to be in the finisher role. It's hard to start with a blank canvas, but
yeah,
sometimes like I can riff off of anything. Just like
mm,
give me something to work with. So I'm
yeah.
glad you get it. Um, you mentioned this interesting tactic of writing out guitar chords in one DAW, exporting in MIDI, and then bringing them into Logic.
Mm,
What purpose is there in doing that? Like, why not? Does Logic have an option for you
mm,
to draw MIDI in?
mm. I guess efficiency. I use that software called Guitar Pro for like 20, maybe wait, like 20 years now. In seconds, I can bring a song on this software. So I just very fast tipping and then up on Logic Pro, and then it's all good.
So
But
in other
yeah,
words,
yeah, I could write it on Logic Pro. Yeah, some people are doing this. Yeah,
I feel like it's an old habit from
yeah,
like a previous era of technology
yeah,
that carried
yeah,
over well.
yeah. 100%.
Well, so what happens next? You've got the MIDI files in Logic and you are still composing, still finalizing the beat. What comes next?
Usually, I try to add a beat and textures and melodies and solos are next, but at the very end. I usually try to bring a solid basis to the song, like bass, chords, rolls, piano, and guitar simple chords, and then I can add the melodies. But I have like hundreds of unfinished demos of only the beginning of the song, like the chords and all the let me say, all the different elements like chorus, intro. I like doing those things, but maybe the melodies don't come.
I assume since you're the finisher in the majority of projects, you also mix and master the track and get it ready
Mm,
for final release, right? Are
yeah.
there any steps to that process that you would care to share or any like essential must-have plugins, VSTs that
Mm.
you use for that?
I'm I am the producer of my songs and stuff, but I guess I'm not very great engineer. But I mainly use uh, the DAW VSTs and some EQ and masters VST, but In fact, I'm doing just basic things. That's a point I need to improve. Uh, I do the mix and masters of my songs, but I won't be I won't be the best advice. I won't have the best advice. I just use the DAW VST.
I think that a talented mix engineer who knows what their programs do doesn't necessarily need to splurge
Mm,
on expensive stuff. I think a lot of people use that as a mask to cover a lack of skill, right? Like it's easy if you
yeah.
know what your plugins do, even stock DAW plugins will
Mm,
get the job done if you know how to utilize them versus
yeah.
like a $300 plugin that does it automatically. Like you've basically, by throwing that on there, you are using AI to do the job of mixing and
Mm,
mastering. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's right.
So I think there's shortcuts everywhere, and I think if you've managed to pull off good sounding masters with stock plugins, there's not necessarily anything wrong, and in fact, even
Mm,
puts your skill level a little bit above the person who's just paying to get that quality
mm.
finished sound. You feel me?
Yeah, and if the VST, if the sounds section and record are solid, then mm, the job is done. If your guitar work is very clean, very smooth, then stock plugins will do the rest. I guess it's all good.
Sure. No, keep it simple.
At least for me, but maybe I'm not
It
the
makes
best.
the job way easier to have
Yeah,
less plugins to contend with.
yeah.
Who would you cite as some of your sources of inspiration, right? This could be like friends, mentors, or even just people you listen to. Like when you go to listen to lo-fi on your own, what are you
Mhm.
typically pulling up?
I fall into lo-fi in 2020, like I said, because of a French YouTuber called Ichiban Japan. It's a famous French YouTuber that lives in Japan, and he's a very close friend of a well-known artist called Pandres that released with lo-fi girl, chill out music and stuff. And and it was the first artist that bring me to lo-fi and that I usually listen to. His friends like Jisan, Epectaz, those are French artists that are very famous in the early stage of lo-fi. Like that,
What
they are not dropping lo-fi anymore.
let's get away from lo-fi temporarily and just
Mm,
talk about music in general, right?
mm,
So like you are in this you work with active live music, or at
mm,
least previously worked with active
mm,
live
mm.
music in this area of France. Tell me about what it's like to work there. How is it working with other artists? It's like, are they cool? Are the people nice? Like what is it like to work with French musicians?
A lot of French musicians have real talents. At this, in my band, all my comrades are 1,000% better than me. There's epic musician for real, and it's they are great lads. But when you work with people, it's always there are always pros and cons. That music, I don't know how to say. Uh, I don't play alone, so I can that's
That's
the
okay.
answer.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot or get you to say
Yeah.
anything bad about your buddies. I'm
No,
just
no,
curious.
no, 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 not at all, not at all. Don't
I
worry.
I ask people what their experience is like collaborating, right? And that depends on how you interpret collaborating, right? Is it
Mm,
playing together in a band with people? Is it swapping stems online with somebody you met through
uh,
Discord? Like when you
that's
collaborate with other people, what is that experience and like, and how did you do it?
yeah. Since I'm a former composer, I usually in the rock and music and live music bring demos to my comrades. Then we talk about in the studio, and then we play in rehearsals, and then ideas come, ideas go, and we end up recording in my house, and that's it. I will not say I'm a leader, but that's kind of like it.
Call
I
it like
usually
a temporary creative director then. It sounds like you have a home studio and you
yeah
invite players over to come give you
yeah
content and then you build something out of it.
yeah. That's not like they can bring ideas too, but most of the time I bring the first idea. We jam, we played, and then we end up recording the songs. That's what you can hear on Spotify.
No, I like it. It's a lot more social than the experience of lo-fi
Yeah,
that I'm used to
yeah,
hearing. You know, community jam sessions translated into songs, I think, is a big selling point, right? It's like
mm,
less of this lonely bedroom thing happening here.
yeah. And even in the lo-fi, I have a friends I collab, and we play like in real life. An artist called Kimo, upcoming artist, and he's a real friend of mine, and we play together at some point in the lo-fi style.
I'm glad people are keeping the in-person jam session
Yeah.
alive. It's been the better part of a decade since I've
Mm.
gotten together with friends and played instruments because everyone's on laptops now.
Yeah. In fact, it's looked like in 2025, most artists are trying to play in real life. I didn't saw that in 2020 or 2022 with the COVID and stuff, but I see people like taking the train, taking the bus to see and to meet other lo-fi artists. Now, like in the last 12 months, I saw that a lot on Instagram. I don't know if it's a trend, but it's a good thing. Like the lo-fi stuff only in the bedroom alone. That's quite
The way I see
interesting.
it, right, like due to like or call it global circumstances, right? We're all locked inside for like years at a time. You know, I feel like lo-fi exploded then.
Yeah,
People doing this music production at home where they didn't have to leave and they could do something. Now we have this opportunity to meet
yeah,
back in real life, and
and that's
everyone's
great.
like itching to go out, see live music again, like go
Yeah,
talk to their friends face to face. It's like things are looking up for once.
yeah, that's it, and that's a really good thing, honestly. Honestly,
No doubt. You have been around doing music long enough, it seems, to have seen the landscape of the internet change and how it's used for music over time. How would you say you utilized the internet back when you were in a band compared to now? Like, what platforms are you on? What platforms did you utilize to get the word out and spread your music?
at the very beginning, it was very hard. We recorded songs in studios, so we have to pay for to record, and then we pay for having CDs. Then we have to sell at live shows, and we were using like SoundCloud, MySpace stuff, but then Spotify came and the first use was DistroKid. That was a real game changer, honestly. Saying that you can drop your own music for very small fee, that was magical. And
Sure.
that's when the things change, honestly. That when you realize you can do stuff on your own, you can play in a band, you can do beat things, you can do instrumental vocal things, and just drop it on the internet. That was honestly a real game changer.
Most definitely a game changer. In fact, I'm curious if you don't mind me asking. You don't have to answer this, but I'm
Yeah.
like, let's say you and your band wanted to play a show. What is the overhead cost between like recording the room in a studio, booking out a venue, selling tickets? It's like, how much of a financial hurdle did you used to have to overcome before Spotify
Yeah,
entered?
that's shit lot of money. That's insane. That's insane. Like recording in studio is like 500 for one or two song. Mix master engineer is like 300 for one song, and that's still the case. 300 for professional mastering and stuff. 300. Then venue. Some venue don't cost anything, but they don't pay you. But and some venue are asking for like $1,000 budget, and then maybe you can cover the fees with the ticket. That's why. Honestly, as an indie rock band or metalcore band, that's you can get money. You can't get money. Honestly.
So
But
let's call it like an average, like minimum $2,500 just to get the music made and a place to
yeah,
perform it
yeah,
versus nowadays $20 a year,
yeah.
DistroKid. Like,
Why?
what is that? Like 2,000% less?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's mad. Completely, yeah, yeah. And that's what things change. Yeah, I remember ordering CDs. That, I don't know the amount or the price, but these CDs are still in my garage, though.
the
And
relics from the good old days of music
yeah,
back when
yeah,
CD player.
yeah. That's
Okay,
why.
well, so how do you, with this advent of streaming services, Spotify entering the scene and being a game changer for independent music, what do you think contributes the most to your living? Like, are you making music as a full-time job? What pays the bills, if you don't mind me asking? Is it Spotify revenue?
In fact, now I generate quite good streams, so I have a professional revenue with the streams, but that's not my main income. I'm a banker in my average life, but I never thought about quitting my job for only playing lo-fi or at least only playing my composition because I need that social interaction. I
Most
have
people.
I have those both stages like again like 50% music, 50% bank, and that's what fits most to me.
Definitely. It's a very self-aware and mature outlook to realize that you need to go out and see and
Mm,
interact with other people. I worked a lab tech job probably about 4 years ago, and I could go a week with my headphones in, not talking to another soul at the office. It was the loneliest job I ever had,
mm,
worst headspace. And so I think like nowadays too, the push is like quit your job, go make music full time. And a lot of people don't realize that means sitting in your room for 8 hours a day with nobody else there, just listening to the same 8 bar loop over and over
yeah,
again.
yeah. Honestly, I could do like twice the money I do now in music. I'll still not uh, only do music. I won't do music as a full time job. Maybe I'll change my job and do softer things, less stressful job. But you can feel very lonely playing music in your bedroom. Honestly,
Definitely. I oh my gosh, I had a question, lost my train of thought completely. What I was gonna say was uh I feel like I have good news for you, right? Like Spotify streaming pays like dirt, but a lot of the guests we've had here previously make a decent living off Spotify streams alone. And so there's something to getting picked up by the algorithm and going independent. They, a lot of people talk about their releases with Lo-Fi Girl and other like big labels that have Spotify supported playlists, and getting the jump from those labels is enough to suddenly take the pennies and dollars they were making in Spotify revenue into something that they could actually survive on, which I thought was crazy. I always thought musicians made money doing live performances. So we live in like a groundbreaking new era. And I guess my question for you is now, with having done a lot of independent work, what situations inspire you to try and seek out a label? Like when would you opt for a label release as opposed to personal?
mm, honestly, I like to do both, but indie release and label releases. But when I do label releases, I'm not only counting on bigger streams, I'm counting on the community of the label to attract more people for my future indie release. In fact, my strategy was to be everywhere. I wanted to be on. I wanted to release with most label, so my landscape. I was everywhere in the lo-fi community. That was my strategy to end up releasing most time as an indie artist and having 100% of my royalties. But since I wasn't doing for the big money first, honestly, giving a 50% split, 70% split to label, that was totally okay. Maybe I'll still not doing any streams if I haven't released with any label.
Having a secure source of income to me seems to give you this ability to take
Yeah,
risks, right? Like I may not be able to recoup the time spent making this song, but I can't expend my reach to this label's audience,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
It's like you're handing them a gift, right? Like here's my song, go make money off of it. And in exchange, they are funneling people back to you. It seems like a sound business strategy, honestly. It's like to me,
Yeah,
I'm always willing to take a small hit for like a bigger payoff long term. And I think the way you're going about systematically getting your name inserted into all of these different labels seems like a good way to spread yourself out.
that at least that was my strategy. But yeah, if you only releasing indie stuff, you'll only get heard about the same people, same people, same people. Maybe you earn money, but that's a circle. You'll end up always always your friend, always your parents, always your fans, but this won't grow your fan base, and that was my strategy. And honestly, that still is. If I found a great label with great community, I'll try to release with them.
Well, I hope you don't mind if I ask you a more personal question. As
Yeah.
as someone I've talked to who works like a more routine, regular job and does music on the side, I'm curious to know how much of your living income, your routine income, do you think you spend working the music angle? Does the music pay for itself by now, or do you find yourself investing money that you're making now back into the music, hoping that will start to pay off?
Um, for now, lo- my music hobby is paid for itself, but it wasn't the case for a long time. At first, like for two last years, I was paying to promote my music. I was paying to for covers. I was paying for a lot of things, and love playing music was costing me a lot of money. For now, since I do a bit more streams, a bit more money, music pay for itself. So it's all.
I like the explanation because it describes like an invisible like middle tier between starving artist and like successful platinum artist, right? It's like people have this binary look, like you are either suffering for your art and making nothing, or you are living large and everyone knows your name. But realistically, there comes a point in which your music is paying for itself. You have the freedom to do other things, but you're not necessarily buying a yacht and a mansion yet.
Yeah, and I can add that I had to invest on myself. I had to invest on knowledge. I had to invest on knowledge. I had to invest on softwares. I had to invest on promotions, and now I got all the it paid back to me. But it was a long journey. Like for me, it's already 5 years. It's a long journey.
5 years is a long journey. I was told by previous mentors that like if you don't have 10 years to sink into the music path, then it's not for you. I wouldn't say that as a rule of thumb. I've seen people hit success in 2 years, but dang if I don't feel like that 10 years estimate is accurate. When you talk about investments that you made that started to pay off, do you mind like with your experience of trial and error, like these investments worked, these ones didn't? What would you tell other artists is a good thing to invest into when you're starting out?
First, I would recommend to invest on the musicality, like to learn more instrument, learn more about the music you are trying to make, like the art itself and instruments, the genre, and then on the software. If you can compose, record, mix, master, do the cover art, upload, then there's a lot of fees that you can avoid. Since if you have to pay for cover art artists, if you have to pay for someone to play the guitar, if you have to pay for someone to do the mixing, you'll never earn any penny.
Oh,
At least that's my strategy.
let me recap a little bit the way I understood that, right? So it sounds like when somebody asks you as a musician, what's a good investment for me to make? It sounds like you're saying education first, like learn how to play an instrument, get that technical ability so you can call yourself a musician. And it
Yeah,
sounds like you're following it up with skills, whether it's graphics, whether it's mixing and mastering, other opportunities that are music adjacent, secondary to the creative process, that will help you save money on the people who charge out the ass for that service.
Yeah. And then
Um,
create money with your unique art. But first, avoid spending money by learning.
Sorry, I'm
That
taking notes as you're talking. Please continue.
yeah, yeah. And that was my that's how we started working in lo-fi. I play guitar, but then I learned how to play lo-fi guitar stuff. Then I learned how to mix lo-fi stuff. Then I learned how can I do what can I do for my visuals. Do I have to do royalty-free visual? I started like this. Then AI. Then that's everything costs something. Software costs money. AI software costs money, but the less you spend, the better it is.
Sure. So in other words, it's like good tool selection of like, if there's something that you can't do yourself, what version of it is worth paying for? I
That's it.
think.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. That is a pretty thorough breakdown. I guess I would ask one more piece of that. So you talked about when you invested in yourself, how those promotions came back to you. What do you think makes a good promotion? When you invest in yourself, would you also consider advertising or like spreading the word? Is that also an investment into yourself as a musician?
Yes, promotion isn't only paying for exposure. Yeah, yeah.
Do
But
you think that's ever worth it?
I do spend money on ads and promos, but you'll never, at least I've never, you'll never get $1 earned for $1 invested. You'll never gain like the same, but it will give you exposure, but it will give you long-term fans. It will give you all
Sure.
of this.
I hope you don't interpret that as a dig, right? Like I am very pro using every tool at your disposal. And I think that like, say for example, in this scenario, you have disposable income, like your music pays for itself and you work a job that gives you money to reinvest. So I see this as a case of like, okay, I need an audience. Why not run a few ads, see what
Yeah,
does well, see who resonates with my music? And it's like, I talk to two different types of people, right? Some people, they don't bother with any of the promotion whatsoever. They just make the music and they kick it out to people who know what they're doing on the labels. Or alternatively, they know exactly what they're doing. They have the algorithms calibrated down to a science and they are running paid ads and they are doing all of the stuff themselves. So it's like, I think a lot of it has to do with like the money you have to spend and the patience and free time you have to
yeah,
potentially do it yourself. Alternatively, I'm not opposed to ads. I'm just curious at every opportunity to know better about how people use them.
yeah. I've met both type of artists, like a collab artist that don't want to spend a penny for the promos and say, let's just drop the song and see how it goes. I'm not in the on that side, honestly. If we put the best music we can, we need the best promo we can too.
No, I like that. If a song is worth releasing and it's worth putting energy into, is it not worth also budgeting money to support it? You know what I mean? I've heard somebody else say that the same amount of money that goes into producing a track should be factored into the budget for what is spent on advertising for it. You know, I can't quote that from an authority, but I believe in that. Like if you have the money to support your release, why not make it a whole thing?
Yeah, I
Um
agree.
no, this is awesome. I appreciate the honesty because I think like you sound like you have a very clear understanding of what it takes to be working and releasing music at the same time. And it's specifically understanding that like some of the time that you would be spending at your day job is going to have to be made up for by turning that into a advertisement that works for you so you can continue to do your job while they do theirs.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Yeah, you're right.
What let's talk more about the internet, man. When you put music out there, you said you're putting it on DistroKid. What social media platforms do you typically support it with? Are you on like Meta? Do you use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube? What's your social media of choice to?
Um, for now, it's Instagram and Spotify and stuff. I started as a YouTube creator. That's why my name is Picture Talk, since I was dropping songs with an image, the, an image, and I don't know how to say it. I started as a YouTube creator that just dropping an image and the song. That was my essence. And then I used Facebook. Time change, and now I'm only on Instagram. I don't use X. I don't use. I'm not really using Discord too, but the community is on Discord.
Instagram appears to be pretty
Yeah,
unilateral across all
yeah,
artists. Like if you're making music, you've got to have like a dedicated artist Instagram.
yeah.
Is the if I could say one solid rule from every single one of these interviews, it's that. What are you doing in the way of Instagram content? Like when you release to promote Picture Talk, what is your content style and what are you trying to communicate with it?
Recently, I'm not the best at Instagram promoting stuff, but when I can, I like to show me playing the music and showing it's a real person playing the music. I'm not against AI stuff, but I want to spread organic music the more I can. So when I can, when it's me on the guitar and stuff, I like to show not how I've recorded it, but how we play. I just like a playthrough of the music when I can. That's how I promote my songs when I
No,
can.
I like it. It's very human and organic. You're like, here's the sound you're listening to. Here's what it looks like to make that. And yeah, no, I can get behind it. I think uh content strategy is infinite, right? Like if it works, it works. I'm curious to know, like specifically how the behind the scenes like band jam session shoots work out. Um I guess as a follow up to that, what's your opinion of the music industry today and how do you see that changing?
I will say AI is killing it, but
AI is stealing it.
AI music is, in my opinion, killing the music scene. But but I'm more good with it since DistroKid and those platforms that led indie artists
do you
to the big scene. Yeah, yeah. So,
do you consider AI a threat to musicians? Do you feel like our days are numbered in the way that AI is moving?
honestly, no. But as a curator for my playlist, that's really, yes. Honestly, that I hate those AI sounding stuff, and this is killing the more killing smaller artists because I've seen non-musicians going viral with AI music,
I
and
do. Sorry, please continue.
yeah, I said I've seen no non-music artists, uh, non, people that don't play music making AI stuff and going viral and doing big streams, and that's honestly not good, not ethical. But we have to you have to face that. I'll still make my own music, and I won't change anything. And I guess that there will be always people to listen to organic music. And
I think that
yeah,
that's a good outlook to have. Is like the way I see it is even if AI were making music that was quality and actually listenable, I would still be making my own music just because I
yeah,
enjoy it. I see it as very dystopian to imagine a future where robots are making music that is indistinguishable from what you and I make. That
mm,
scares me a little bit because it's like right now as I playlist, I can hear when music is AI generated for the most
yeah.
part, especially in the vocal. That Suno AI vocal has like a specific texture to it that makes it stick out like a sore thumb.
Even the instrumental, yeah, yeah.
But I think, and it's AI submissions are starting to pick up more and more too. People will just they'll go to this program, they will program the parameters of what they want the song to sound like, it'll spit something out and then they'll be like, this is my song, I made that. And I'm like, not really, no. Like technically that song belongs to Suno, and you are out here paying money to promote a piece of music that if it were to ever take off, Suno is going to come right back and say, hey, this is actually our intellectual property, it belongs to us. So it's like when you said that AI is killing the small artists, I agree. It's killing the small artists that are making the mistake of incorporating it or trying to build a platform using AI music. It's like until you create the AI engine that makes the music, that music is never going to be yours legally. And that's my biggest issue with it, is like, how do you make money off something that does not belong to you?
Yeah, I agree.
But sorry, I'm waxing poetic and getting passionate about Terminator robots coming from my job. I think that it has been a breath of fresh air to talk to, forgive me for the description, but a working man who's very active in his pursuits of his music career. You know what I mean? You seem like a guy who has his shit together and, you know, still makes time to do what he loves, which I can respect. I'm going to start to draw this interview to a close, but for the record, I think you killed it. If you could point people towards a favorite body of work or a song or a piece you did that is just like represents Picture Talk, what would you tell people to listen to?
Honestly, that will be a song called "Last Day of Summer," released with Scorpions a few years ago, and that's one of my most personal track and one of the most one of my favorite. Yeah.
What is it about the song that makes you feel like you identify with it so much? Did you just do some magic?
I really had that feeling like the end of summer. I live in south of France. It's very cool weather, hot weather, and like September, and always in that period I have that feeling of, I don't know, nostalgia maybe, and I like to write songs about it. And this one, I don't know why, I don't know how it captures really the that feeling, and that's why I like it that much.
It sounds like it perfectly encapsulates the ennui, like the happy sadness of the changing of the
Yeah.
seasons. I'm
Uh,
excited to check it out. Listen, boss, where can people find you and get involved with you? Like if they wanted to listen to your music, reach out to collab, or even just like chit chat with you on social media, what is your preferred place to meet people?
100% would say Instagram. That's why I'm the most active. I check all my DMs, even the invitation. So Instagram.
Cool. You guys heard it here first. Go look up Picture Talk on Instagram. Jeffrey, it is such a pleasure talking to you. I hope
Thank
we'll
you.
get the
Thanks
chance
for
to meet
having me.
again in the future. Take it easy, boss. I'm going to let you go. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank
Peace
you.
out.